Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 2. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom. Let's take a look at the headlines. Federal government announces 25,000 naira grant for vulnerable pensioners. Supreme Court fixes judgment for December 15 in Kanu's trial. Plus, 10 die, 102 missing in India glacial lake burst. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. First in the news this afternoon is a report that the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, says President Bola Tinubu has directed her ministry to reserve 10% of social safety net intervention for older persons. This was contained in a statement issued by her media aide, Rashid Zubair, in Abuja. It stated that the minister was speaking during a stakeholders meeting to commemorate the 2023 National Day of Older Persons in Nigeria. According to her, the president's directive that 10% of social safety net intervention programs be set aside for older persons in the country was a demonstration of his commitment to their welfare. Meanwhile, the federal government has announced a special grant of 25,000 naira each under its conditional cash transfer (CCT) scheme to vulnerable pensioners in the country. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu, announced this when she met with the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), led by its President Joe Ajaero in Abuja. The minister disclosed that President Bola Tinubu mentioned very clearly that vulnerable pensioners should be immediately captured on the National Social Register and benefit from the CCT as part of social safety net. Thus, he committed 25,000 naira for 15 million households for 3 months. Edu informed the leadership of the labor union that the desire to expand the National Social Register to include vulnerable pensioners in the CCT scheme was encapsulated in the renewed hope agenda and appealed to the NLC to help fast-track the process of collating data. In another development, the federal government has assured Nigerians that the era of waiting for months to get their passports is over. This was as it announced a 2-week timeline for the processing of passport applications. The Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, gave the assurance in Abuja while giving an update on his directive to the Nigeria Immigration Service to clear over 204,000 backlogs of passport applications. While stating that he had promised to sort out the backlogs in 2 weeks, the minister, however, noted that the promise has been fulfilled in 3 weeks. He, however, apologized to Nigerians for the delay. In a separate development, the Minister for Steel Development, Shuaib Abubakar Audu, has revealed that the Ajaokuta town and its environment will soon be designated as a free trade zone. Audu said a proposal had been sent to the President Bola Tinubu for consideration and approval within the shortest possible time. Abubakar Audu disclosed this while speaking during his maiden visit to the Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited as he took a tour of the complex company with some investors from America, Germany, Russia and China. The minister said the aim of the visit is to show would-be investors around the vast potential of the steel resources and the prospects it is capable of providing. Meanwhile, the minister said that if gotten right, Ajaokuta Steel Company will create over 500,000 jobs, which would be enough to lift Nigerians out of poverty, as investors would carry out an advanced technical audit of the steel complex and its facilities to see what more is to be done. Now to the Red Chambers, where the Senate has confirmed the nominees of the board of the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) appointed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They were confirmed after their screening by the Committee of the Whole. The NDDC board members are Chiedu Ebie, Chairman Delta, Dr. Samuel Obuku, Managing Director and CEO, Bayelsa Boma Iyaye, Finance Admin, Executive Director Finance Admin Rivers, Victor Anta, Executive Director Projects Akwa Ibom, Ifedayo Abegunde, Executive Director Corporate Services Ondo, and Senator Dimaro Denyan Bofa, Bayelsa. On to judicial matters now, where the Supreme Court has fixed December 15 for judgment in the appeals filed by the federal government and detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. Reports say the court chose the date today after lawyer to the federal government, Tijani Ghazali, and counsel to Kanu, Michael Zekome, made final submissions. According to reports, the federal government wants the court to set aside an earlier judgment by the Court of Appeal, which quashed the treasonable felony charge against Kanu and ordered his release on the grounds that he was unlawfully brought back to the country after he jumped bail. Meanwhile, Kanu, on his part, wants the court to allow the judgment of the court and set aside the later order by that stayed the execution of the judgment. In a fresh development, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar will today address a press conference on the finding of his legal team over President Bola Tinubu's academic records released by the Chicago State University. The press invite to the press conference read that the press conference will hold by noon at the Yaradua Center and that the exact time will be communicated. Recall that the university released the academic records of the president on Monday, and the CSU registrar Carl Westberg also carried out a deposition of the documents on Tuesday, in compliance with the ruling of Magistrate Jeffrey Gilbert. On military matters now, the Nigerian Army Special Court Martial sitting in Abuja said it has found Major General Umaru Muhammad guilty of $1.476 million theft. Recall that Muhammad was the Group Managing Director of Nigerian Army Properties Limited, NAPL. Reports say the president of the court, Major General James Mayam, said that in the course of the trial, the accused had pleaded not guilty and presented two witnesses. However, the court found the defendant guilty of stealing $1.04 million between May 7 and 2019 and June 24, 2021, while serving as general manager of NAPL. Meanwhile, the court president added that the accused was found guilty of instructing one Major Usman and one other to collect money from sheep owners in dollars, as well as conspiring to forge documents and selling the company's property while no longer serving at NAPL for 200 million naira. Off to electoral matters now, with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it plans to transmit results of the November 11 Bayelsa governorship election manually. The INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner REC in the state, Obo Efanga, stated this in Yanagwa during an interactive session with religious leaders and faith-based organizations. Efanga said that INEC was ready to conduct free, fair and credible elections, and only voters accredited by BVAS would be allowed to vote. Meanwhile, Efanga urged the stakeholders to advise their candidates to be peaceful, while noting that about 16 political parties had yielded candidates for the election. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino has sent his goodwill message to teachers in Akwa Ibom State on the occasion of the 2023 World Teachers' Day. In his message released by his Chief Press Secretary, Ikerete Udo, Governor Eno celebrated teachers for the foundation both in learning and morality that the teachers whom he described as treasured have laid and are still laying for the children. He commended them for their sacrifice, passion and patience in molding the future leaders, stating that it is the reason that his government has taken their welfare and well-being very seriously. According to him, he has so far released over 3 billion naira to pay gratuities, especially to retired primary school teachers. He again announced that his government is constructing model public primary schools with adequate provisions for teachers to reside within the premises, as was the case in the past. The governor, who reiterated that education is a critical pillar in the Arise agenda, stressed that he remains committed to ensuring that the teachers raise great and knowledgeable leaders of tomorrow who would compete with their peers anywhere in the world. Now to Africa, where South Africa has reportedly culled about 7.5 million chickens in an effort to contain dozens of outbreaks of two separate strains of avian influenza that threaten to create a shortage of eggs and poultry for consumers. Reports say at least 205,000 chickens have died from bird flu in at least 60 separate outbreaks across the country, with more than half of those outbreaks in Gauteng province, which includes the country's biggest city, Johannesburg, and the capital, Pretoria. Meanwhile, the government announced approximately 2.5 million chickens bred for their meat had been culled. The South African Poultry Association said another 5 million egg-laying chickens had been culled. The 7.5 million birds represented about 20 to 30% of South Africa's total chicken stock. Elsewhere, the falcon effects of the President of the Republic of Congo, Denis Sassou Nguesso, has been sold at auction for 7.1 million euros at the Grand Hotel de Boudoir after being seized in June 2020 at the airport of the Gironde capital. The seizure by bailiff during maintenance work is part of a long series of legal proceedings initiated for decades by the boss of the company, Komi Simpex, a Lebanese businessman, against the state of Congo. The auction of the aircraft produced by Dassault Aviation was ordered by the Boudoir Judicial Court in December 2022 and then confirmed in June 2023 by the Court of Appeal with an initial price set at 7 million euros. The reports say the sale should make it possible to compensate Comisimpex for unpaid public works. On the foreign scene, at least 10 people were killed and 102 others reported missing from violent flooding from glacier lakes in India. Speaking with newsmen, the director of the Sikkim State Disaster Management Authority, Prahakar Rai, said they are still counting casualties a day after a wall of water rushed down the mountainous valley in northeastern India. The director said roads had been severely damaged and 14 bridges had been washed away, with rescuers battling to help those hit by the flood. Meanwhile, an Indian Army spokesman, Himanshu Tiwari, said floodwaters have caused havoc in 4 districts of the state, sweeping away people, roads, bridges, and 22 soldiers among those missing. Still on the foreign scene, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has vowed to introduce legislation to reduce tobacco use, saying there was no safe level of smoking. Sunak, who disclosed this to his Conservative Party in an annual conference in a keynote address, said that he proposes that in future they raise the smoking age by 1 year every year. That means a 14-year-old today will never legally be sold a cigarette, and that they and their generation can grow up smoke-free. The statement also said the government also planned to bring in measures to restrict young people vaping. This could include restricting disposable vapes and regulating flavors and packaging to reduce their appeal to children, Downing Street audit. Meanwhile, health experts welcomed the announcement, while Sunak urged members of parliament to get the measure in place as soon as possible. Still to come in the news. FIFA appoints referees, VAR officials for Super Eagles Saudi Arabia friendly. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now in our business news, the World Bank has described the Nigerian naira as one of the worst performing currencies in Africa. According to the World Bank's report, Shaping Africa's Economic Future, the currency weakened by nearly 40% against the US dollar since the mid-June devaluation. It stated that so far this year, the Nigerian naira and the Angolan kwanza are among the worst performing currencies in the region. It disclosed that the weakening of the naira was triggered by the central bank's decision to remove trading restrictions on the official market, and for the kwanza, it was the decision of the central bank to stop defending the currency as a result of low oil prices and greater debt payments. Meanwhile, other currencies, according to the World Bank report, with significant losses so far in 2023 included South Sudan 33%, Burundi 27%, the Democratic Republic of Congo 18%, Kenya 16%, Zambia 12%, Ghana 12%, and Rwanda 11%. Still in business, state governments have reportedly borrowed about 46.17 billion naira from 3 banks to pay salaries between January and June 2023. The banks include Access, Fidelity, and Zenith, with findings based on an analysis of the half-year 2023 financial statements of these banks. Reports say that the states borrowed the most from Axis Bank in 6 months, with a record of 42.97 billion naira loan, followed by Zenith Bank, 1.78 billion naira borrowed, and Fidelity Bank with 1.42 billion naira borrowed within the 6-month period. Meanwhile, the state government's indebtedness to commercial banks rise due to worsening revenue challenges. The Fiscal Responsibility Commission have issued guidelines to banks on lending to states. Now in health, the federal government has signed a Memorandum of Understanding MOU with 12 pharmaceutical companies as part of its efforts to guarantee medicine security. The Director General of the National Health Insurance Authority, NHIA, Mohammed Sambo, announced this in Abuja during the signing of the MOU with NHIA Medicine Supply Initiative, NMSI. Sambo said the initiative was geared towards the strengthening of local pharmaceutical manufacturers, which would ultimately guarantee medicine security as well as facilitate the supply of affordable, acceptable, accessible, available, and quality medicines and other health products. The NHIA boss said 7 states, which include Delta, Enugu, Gombe, Jigawa, Niger, Osun, and Sokoto, have been selected with the Federal Capital Territory FCT for the pilot phase of implementing the initiative. Still in health, the federal government has put in place plans and strategies to double the population of medical and dental doctors from 5,000 to 10,000 from the next academic year by increasing admission into the medical and dental institutions. The Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Tunji Alausa, disclosed this at the induction ceremony of foreign-trained medical and dental graduates by the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria in Abuja. Alausa said the mass exodus of licensed doctors and other health professionals to more developed countries will be discouraged by making the healthcare environment more attractive. According to him, the just over 3,000 doctors produced annually in Nigeria remains grossly inadequate. Hence, the need to double the rate of production of health workers. The minister added that the ministry will continue to advocate for more funding into the health sector and increase the value chain to attract more international grants and funding. Now in sports, FIFA has appointed Portuguese official Luis Godinho as referee for the international friendly match between Nigeria and Saudi Arabia. This was contained in a statement by the Director of Communications for Nigeria Football Federation, Ademola Alajire, today in Abuja. The statement further read that Godinho will be assisted by Bruno Jesus, Assistant Referee 1, Thiago Costa, Assistant Referee 2, and Miguel Nogueira, 4th official, while Helder Cavallo will head the situation in the Video Assistant Referee VAR room, and he will be assisted by Bruno Vieira. Meanwhile, the match will be the second ever clash between both countries and will take place at the Estadio Municipal de Portimao on October 13 at about 5 p.m. The Eagles will also take on the members of Mozambique in another friendly at the same venue on October 16 by 4 p.m. Still in sports, the World Football Body, FIFA, has confirmed that the 2030 World Cup will be held across 6 countries in 3 continents. Reports say Spain, Portugal and Morocco have been named as the co-hosts, with the opening 3 matches taking place in Uruguay, Argentina and Paraguay. Speaking on the decisions, FIFA's President Gianni Infantino said, "In a divided world, FIFA and football are uniting, and the opening matches in South America are to mark the World Cup's centenary, as it will be 100 years since the inaugural tournament in Montevideo." Meanwhile, FIFA also confirmed that bids from countries from the Asian Football Confederation and the Oceania Football Confederation will be considered for the 2034 finals. On entertainment news, reality TV star Kim Kardashian has opened up about struggling as a single mom on this week's episode of The Kardashians. On the show, Kim admitted that Kanye was a good father, friend and husband. However, he could not stop cheating on her. Meanwhile, Kim further said that the kids constantly ask of him as she struggles as a single mother. Still on entertainment news, organizers of the MTV Europe Music Awards have introduced a brand new category, Best Afrobeat, in its 2023 edition. Reports say the category was included in 2023 MTV EMA nomination list, which was made public on September 4, with Nigerian megastars Davido, Rema, Burna Boy, Asake, Ira Star and French sensation Aya Nakamura in the categories with different nominations. And while the 2023 MTV EMAs is scheduled for November 5 in Paris, France, and would be broadcast live to more than 150 countries. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTV.live.ng. My name is Xavier Robert, reaching you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom, and you have been watching the news at 2 p.m. on Spectrum TV. Bye for now.